Okay, I think now we are set. We can continue. Okay, so what I'll do in this session is quickly I'll recap on the two sessions we have held previously, focused on AI. Then I'll dive into AI tools for data analysis, and then we have a short introduction to this session. So in terms of the goals of or objective of this session, largely is to provide an introductory knowledge of VS Code, and this is VS Code is what is called IDE in software development. That's integrated development environment. We will see what is this as we continue, and then provide some introductory kind of knowledge on Co-Pilot, which is an AI agent, and show how you can use it for data analysis. So previously, we had done some sessions focused on AI, and what I want kind of to bring to attention is largely on that. We mentioned several that you can use for your research work, and these included some of the major known AI companies, including Gemini from Google, ChatGPT from OpenAI, Meta from Meta, Quen from Alibaba, DeepSeek from, I think the company is called DeepSeek, I'm not sure. And Zaibu is a new company, Chinese company that's also providing AI models for chat and also for other uses like data analysis or coding and all that. So previously I mentioned that this tool can be used for several uses. You can use them for chatting, asking questions. You can use them for research work. A lot of them have a feature that's called deep research, which can enable you to develop a more detailed report on a certain issue. So that's one of main features that you can use. And others can be used for more focused work, maybe literature review. Like Google has Notebook LM, which is a good platform for you if you're interested in kind of consuming PDF materials. This one will help you to create an audio for your PDF or create a mind map for your PDF or something like that. So today we want to move away from consumption of materials and kind of dive into more of generation of materials. How do you do analysis on a data set that is there using AI and all that? So I had shared some materials with you, and gradually my request was that if you wanted to follow along this session, what you should do is to get a VS Code, the IDE called VS Code. There are many VS Code. There are many IDE you can use, but I just chose what I comfortably use or I use in my day-to-day work. So I use VS Code. So it's available across all platforms, Windows, Mac OS, Linux, and all that. So whichever kind of laptop or computer you're using should have access to VS Code. I requested that if you also want to follow along, you should kind of sign up for GitHub account. It's free. Also, to sign up for GitHub Co-Pilot, it have a free trial that you can use for this session. If you are in education sector, you are a lecturer, you are a student, you can get a more GitHub by Co-Pilot Pro for free. For this one, you need an ID badge showing that you are a student or a lecturer, and also address that has your university's kind of domain. So if you come from KU or UN, you have a domain name that ends with .ku.ac.ke or .un or around 4 days to process. But by the end of the 4 days, you have uh, uh, a Copilot Pro that has higher limits. I also provided some materials that can guide you on how to install VS Code and GitHub Copilot. Hopefully, everyone was able to follow that. And lastly, I provided the dataset that I'll be using for illustration for this session. It's a Stata data format, can be accessed by any programming language you are using, whether you're using Stata or you're using Python or you're using R, whichever language you're using, you should be able to kind of be able to access the dataset. To continue, let's dive in. And what I'll start with kind of introducing the copilots and some of the AI terms we'll be using. And kind of share some information on why this might be a good way to do kind of do your data analysis instead of using the traditional method where you code yourself. You write the do files and you conduct the analysis with yourself. So to start with, AI coding agents and what in general, if you go online and research agents, you find AI agents, you find there are a lot of them. But in this session, we are focusing more on those agents that can enable you to do coding. Still, remember, Stata or do data analysis using Stata is more of coding. You are using your program to kind of do something by providing instruction. So for AI coding agents, these are autonomous software tools that perform tasks, make decisions, and interact with the environment intelligently and rationally. So what we mean here is that what you do to this AI agent is that you're providing it with a goal, and the AI agent makes decision on what's supposed to do, which step is the need to follow to kind of achieve that goal. Then it goes ahead and implement those tasks that's supposed to be implemented in an intelligent way. So if you tell it, okay, I want to get a mean of a certain data set or of a certain variable, it will go through and use an AI model to think through how do you get a mean of a variable. So maybe I need to create a script or a Python script or a Stata file that loads the data into my environment. Then I use certain functions, the function or Python function to calculate the mean. So it's you give it the goal and the context. The agent will make the decisions, make a plan, and perform the tasks that that are supposed to kind of lead you to the goal that you have requested. So what's the difference between an AI model, what we call large language models, and an AI agent? For LLM, it requires constant human input. So if you go to ChatGPT and you provide it with data, you have to keep interacting with it. You ask it a question, it provides you a response. You ask it again or provide more context, and you can have to keep kind of iterating with it or kind of providing more context to the model so that it can be able to do whatever you want it to do. For AI agents, this is a bit different. What you do is that you provide a goal, and the agent is able to initiate an action to make decisions and adapt to new information. So it will go and lead whatever context you've provided it and kind of start making decisions on what it needs to do next. And you can also kind of ask it to implement those actions. So you don't need to keep interacting with it. Of course, interacting with it might provide more context to it, which which helps the agent to kind of perform the actions it's supposed to perform. For what are key advantages here is that it saves you a lot of time and cost. So you can imagine if you are writing a do file, and we'll see these once we start kind of doing some coding, that it takes just a few minutes to generate some good what we call low level kind of a do file or a Python script or whatever you are using for analysis. So it can save you a lot of time and a lot of money in terms of days that you also kind of spend trying to do the analysis. So how do you need to think about AI coding agents? These are more like a coding assistant. If you have worked with an assistant, most of the raw repetitive work, you kind of divide the work in a way that ensures that you are more focused more on reviewing the work more than kind of implementing the work. So AI coding agent act like that. It's your assistant. It will do much of the work, and for you is to ensure that whatever it have produced makes sense and it kind of achieves the goal that you had in mind. This is something I keep repeating. I think I have mentioned it in the last two sessions on AI. For best practices, for effective instructions to AI coding agents or large language models, be specific, provide enough context, and iterate. Be specific on your goal. What do you want to achieve? Provide enough context. If there's some files that they need to learn, if you're doing data analysis and you have a questionnaire, it's a good idea to provide that questionnaire to the coding agent, and always iterate. Whenever it do something, you can iterate and kind of see whether it's doing the right thing. Examples of AI coding agents, there are many you can use. So GitHub Co-Pilot is one of them, and you'll be using it for illustration. Gemini coding code assist is also another one from Google. Crime is another bot that can be used for coding. RuCode is another one. Casa is an IDE, an development environment, but also kind of a coding agent. QuenCode is also a coding assistant, but for those who kind of deals with terminal in their computer, Quen works from the terminal instead of VS Code. So these are some of them. There are many. If you go online and search for Copilot, GitHub Copilot, you find a lot of examples. So I want first of all to go kind of present what Copilot looks like, just to kind of explain what Copilot looks like and what are some of the key features of the Copilot. And then we will dive into VS Code and how to kind of use it. So to start off, Copilot has the function, the coding agent. So it have a coding agent, which is code agent. So this is the one which you provide instruction, and it will develop the code for you. It have an ask function. This is similar to ChatGPT, Platform, Gemini, and others, where you can ask questions and provide answers. Lastly, it have an edit function. This one is used to edit a whole repository of documents. So if you have several do files in your folder and you want to edit them in a certain way, you can use this edit function to tell Copilot to edit those do file. But also you can go to a specific line in your do file and ask Copilot to edit that line to a certain in a certain way. So, for example, you might be having a line that is doing a repetitive action. So you may decide that you want to use a loop, a for loop, or a while loop, or whichever type of loop you want to use. So you can highlight the whole repetitive section and tell Copilot, can you use a for loop to kind of implement this action. So those are the key functions that you can use in your Copilot. For model choice, as you know, there are a lot of models, and I think we have discussed this previously. For Copilot, it have allowed for models plus possibility of adding more. ChatGPT or OpenAI, ChatGPT 4, 5, and all mini models are there. For Crude, they have Sonnet 3 and Sonnet 4 models. I think they might be, I think 3 or 4 are the one that you have access to. Gemini, you have 2.5 Pro, and Grok, you have first one model. So you have a lot of choices. And I think one of the, because I use this a lot, I think Crude has some of the best model for Copilot. They are very good whenever if you are, in case you are using this VS Code and you are doing some data analysis, my choice is always to use Sonnet models. They are usually quite good. For how to provide input to Copilot, you can either provide by typing. You type the command, or you can speak to the Copilot. It have the ability, you can be able to speak to it, and it will kind of implement the commands. Lastly, you can add context to the model. I want to illustrate this because I think it's a bit vague when you discuss it from here. Before we go to an example. So this is my Copilot. This is not Copilot, sorry. This is my VS Code. As you can see, you have a panel here on my, I don't know whether you can see my cursor, where you have Explorer, then Programming, Outline, and Timelines. This is where you can find a lot of your documents. On this panel, you have several things here. The first one is Explorer. This is where you can find your files. If you have already installed VS Code, it will be very similar at this stage. It will be quite similar. You have some source control. You can search your repo or your document that is already in VS Code. Because this is VS Code is a more of a software engineering tool, you have a debug. A debug is kind of, you want to go through your code and ensure that there is no errors, or kind of remove errors. You can use debug. And then you have extensions, which will come to very soon. Testing your model. Lastly, these two will see how you can add these models, but at this point they are not needed. So I want to take you to, so the moment you install VS Code and you want to use GitHub Co-Pilot, the first thing you need to do is to come to your profile or accounts, and here you can be able to log in to your GitHub account. So if for you to sign into GitHub, for you to get access to GitHub Copilot, you need to have a GitHub account. So once you get a GitHub account, the next step is to get a GitHub Copilot, and then you can be able to log into your VS Code using it. If you come here, for me, I have already signed in, but if you come here, you get an option to sign in into your GitHub account. And once you sign into your GitHub account, you should have access to your Copilot, because it's bundled with GitHub. So I hope that is clear. I want to pause for a minute to in case there is a question. Okay, so once you are able to connect your VS Code with VS Code with your GitHub account, you have access to you should have access to GitHub Copilot. But the first thing you need to do is to come and install the GitHub Copilot extension. So what you just need to do is to come here at the extension, search for Copilot. Search for Copilot, and it will give you the GitHub Copilot. I think there are several of them. For me, I've already installed two the copilots, the chat, there should be the other one is just GitHub Copilot. So you can install these two, and it will give you those features we have mentioned, the features to ask questions, the features for the agent, and also the ability to edit the whole kind of repo of the whole document that you have in your folder. Okay. Hopefully those who are following up now have the Copilot. They have been able to connect with Copilot, or they are you kind of have a sense of where you're supposed to get your Copilot, and also how to connect your GitHub account to your VS Code. The Copilot, once you install the Copilot, it will have this icon here. And if you look at the top here, you can see I have another icon here, which is also Copilot, Copilot icon. And also down here, you have another Copilot icon here, which gives you largely the information on how your usage of credit from Copilot. So once you have everything set up, this panel will give you the access to Copilot. Here, let me expand this panel, right panel. Here you can see you have the three functions I have mentioned. You have an agent, you can ask, you can also edit your files in your workspace. So as we have said, this is a way of editing your file, or kind of generating files in agent mode, where you give a goal and the agent will work through for a plan and also implement the code. Then you can ask questions or edit in context. And also the last one is edit files. You can also add context. I think I've mentioned context, where you are providing more information to the agent model on whatever you are doing. So if you click here, it will give you an option to attach a file. So maybe you have a questionnaire that you like to attach. You can just choose files and folders and choose that questionnaire. Raster models. I mentioned you have OpenAI models. These are ChatGPT models. You can see you have 4 and 5. You have Grok, some of the models. You have Crude Sonnet models. You have Gemini 2.5 Pro, ChatGPT 5, and O3 and O4 models. So there are a lot of choices for you. And you can also add models. You can manage large language models. This enables you to add more models into your VS Code. So that's possible if you need that. As I mentioned, you can either type your request here. This is a typing window. You can type here, or you can speak. You can start a voice chat, and you'll be chatting with the ChatGPT or whichever model you are using for the analysis. Lastly, here you have a choice to choose what you want to do. You want to set the whatever you have typed to the code base. You want just to set the command only, whatever the goal of maybe I want to analyze this data only, that request only, or you also want to set the request plus every file that is in your folder. So that's the key kind of features for VS Code. And in this middle panel, this is where you'll be having your do files or Python script or whatever language you are using. They'll be displayed here. Now, I have mentioned Copilot as one of extension. If you want other extension, you just need to search for them. If you search for Gemini Code Assistant, you will get an extension for it. So this one you just install and then log in using your Google account, whichever Google account you have. If you have a Google account, you just sign in and you have access to Gemini models. Crying is another coding agent you can use. You just need to search for it at the extension and you get Crying coding agent, and you can be able to install it for your work. The thing is that for Crying and others, you need to do some setup to be able to use them. You need to provide the models that you'll be using for your analysis. So that's a basic introduction on these tools and VS Code. Here at the middle, you have your code. On this side, you have the agent that's you are using for data analysis, which in this case will be GitHub Co-Pilot. And this side, you have your files. So what you can do on this side, the first step is, let me go back to my slides to kind of illustrate which workflow we'll be using, or which workflow you be using for your data analysis. The workflow is quite basic. It's very simple. Create a folder for your project with all files. So if you are doing data analysis, create a folder in your computer, download your data into that folder, download the questionnaires in that folder. Any information related to your data analysis project, you can add them into that folder. Number two, you need to provide context to that. Once now you go to VS Code, the first thing is to provide context, and I'll show you how to provide context for your model. As I have shown you, it's possible for you to be able to attach files to the code, to the agent, and the agent will be able to kind of read those files. The next step is to plan. Usually AI, and I think a lot of you have interacted with them, they tend kind of sometimes to forget some things. So before you start your data analysis, it's always a good idea to ask it for a plan. Create a plan on how to approach this specific problem, and then review that plan. If you have a problem with that plan, tell it to revise that plan and give it instruction on how to revise the plan. So one key thing is to ensure that your plan is here. When I talk about incremental means, I mean that if you're doing a regression analysis, maybe in your plan, you first want to get some summary statistics, then you do the regression. So make sure in your plan, those steps are arranged in that order. You have first of all, load the data, get summary statistics, then go ahead and do the regression analysis. Lastly, the last step is code. You can ask the Copilot to implement the plan using code. Specify the language you want to use. So if you want to use Python, specify you want to use Python. If you want to use R, specify you want to use R. If you want to use Stata, specify you want to use Stata for your data analysis. Some few tips here. Implement one step at a time. Especially if you are doing a very large data analysis, it's always a good idea to implement one step at a time. You can start with, I want to do the means or summary statistics. The second step, I'll do the regression. That way, you don't have a lot of code you need to review. So if you can imagine, if it produces a do file with 1,000 lines of code, it's quite difficult to review such kind of a do file. But if it's only 50 lines, you can be able to go through it very fast, and then add another 100 lines, and then like that, you can be able to review very fast. Always confirm that it have implemented the whole of your plan. given given the context window of these models, sometimes they will tell you they have implemented the whole plan, but they haven't. So always confirm by checking the code yourself or asking the agent to confirm it has implemented the whole plan. And even go for that step, and also again, I'll ask it a second time to check the code for completeness and anything it might have missed. Essentially, is to ensure that it did not leave some code and that it had not implemented. So once, most likely, to be able to catch some of this missing information and kind of add to them. So let's go and try to do this in VS Code. So I have my VS Code open. What you can do if you already have a folder is to go to File, Open Folder, and then you can go to a folder that you want. You can just open and go to a folder that you want to use, or the folder that you have added your file into. For me, I've already done that. My folders are already in this folder called AI Tools Analysis. I have the Find Access survey questionnaire. I've added my data. My data is a Stata data file. And some other files there I was working on previously. So I can just come here. First of all, I'll confirm that I am using the Sonnet form. You can choose other models that you prefer, but for me, I prefer Sonnet. There are two ways. You can start with ask, but I prefer to use the agent. And what I'll do is that I'll copy a goal that I had already created here. You can see here the prompt that I'll be using. I'll first of all start by telling the agent, I want to analyze this data set using Stata. I want to understand mobile banking usage in Kenya. The variables in data set comes from a survey conducted using the attached survey. I have already attached the survey. Mobile banking usage is under section M in the attached survey. And then what I want the agent to do is first of all to read the content of the folder. Secondly, I wanted to create a plan to accomplish the described task. The described task here, I mean, I want to understand the mobile banking usage in Kenya. So still not very specific, but still good enough for the agent to understand. What I want to do is to go to that survey and look for variables that are focused on mobile banking in Kenya. So I'll just copy this. Let's just move this to the side. I'll just copy these and hit enter. Let's see what you can see here saying it's working. So let's see what it will produce, and then we can see how to proceed. Still working. Okay, so you can see it have gone through several things. Let's first step it is start by reading the current folder content and create a comprehensive plan. Great, I can see the files in that folder. Let me examine existing Stata file and the blah, blah, blah. It have read several do files that were there. Let me check if there is a Python script to list the data structure. Let me also check current working directory and examine surveys folder PDF to understand the section name about mobile banking. It will provide you with a command that you can learn. And what you just need to do is to click continue to give it permission. To learn the command. You can see here under command, it have moved now to the AI tool folder under this. So at the bottom here is where you find your terminal. There's a Python script to see all the variables in the dataset. What I'll do is that I don't want to use that Python script because I had created it a bit earlier. I should have removed it before running it. But maybe you can say continue. It gets an error about the Python script. It is trying to fix the whatever. Let's see whether it will be able to learn it. It's facing some issues. Okay, let me stop it. Let me just tell it to create a plan. Let's see whether it is able to create the. As you can see, it can be very long. Most likely you don't want to do all of this, but first of all, it is able to recognize that you need to load and inspect the data structure, identify key variables for mobile banking analysis. Phase 2, it will do some descriptive analysis, overall usage, blah, blah, blah. Phase 3 to do some demographic and socioeconomic analysis. Phase 4 is advanced data analysis. Phase 5 is insight and recommendation. So it's quite detailed plan. And maybe I'm not interested in this. So maybe I can tell it, I can start with write a Stata do file. A Stata do file that implements phase 1. Phase 1, step 1 and 2. I think step 1 is loading data. Step 2 is identifying. I think phase 1 and phase 2. I think that makes sense. But you can start. We can go step by step. But let me just do phase 1 and 2. Sometimes it takes some time depending on how the kind of the size of the work it needs to do in the background, but usually it manages to create whatever you need for your analysis. So let's give it some time. Now you can see it have a mobile banking phase 1 and 2 do file. If you look at the central panel, and some key information on what's doing, the dataset it's using, the purpose, and the key phases that it is implementing. You can see this do file is allowed maybe around 300 lines of code. within maybe less than 5 minutes. So it saves you a lot of time. So maybe the first thing is to check whether indeed it's working. So what have, you can see it also tells you what they have done. They have created a Stata do file for this. This is the name of the do file, what they have done for each phase, and kind of the key features of the model. Now, like if you look at the key features here, it starts with robust error handling feature of CAPTCHA. That can be dangerous for you if you're doing data analysis, because CAPTCHA implies that the do file you have not written will not show you the error. It will just move to the next line of code. So if there is an error at a certain point for a result that is need to be used later on, you face a challenge where you will not realize that the model made an error. So it's always good to go through and kind of confirm that indeed you don't have an error on that. It searches for variables, create some gloves, export the result to CSV, blah, 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 and create a detailed log file for you. So all steps that you are taught in your introduction to Stata, you need a do file to do your analysis. You also need to open a log file to kind of log whatever you are doing. You need to comment your code. If you look at this code, what you realize is that it is well commented code. You can see that it is using it's using relative paths to import data. It's using Rook4 to look for several variables that might be related to mobile banking. So you have mobile banking, money, digital M-Pesa, freezer, loans, credit, financials. Those are all variables that might be used in relation to mobile banking. It's also looking for some demographic variables: gender, sex, age, education, income, region, urban, rural, counties, and location. Most likely it will not find some of these, but it might be able to find some of these variables. What you realize very fast is that it's using the CAPTCHA command here to describe. This can be dangerous in case this command is like some of the variable here are wrongly worded. That implies that this command, when it learns, it will not show you the error. It will just move to the next command, which implies that you might be having some problem in this. But what I'll do is I will move this to the side. I'll just print my screen. I have my Stata here. I hope you can see both windows. I will share a guide on how you can connect your VS Code to Stata. I will just Control A, the whole of the code, and Control D to set the data to Stata. And let me extend Stata. What you can see is that indeed the code is learning. It have found this command that is not recognized. So most likely you need to install this command. What you can do is to just highlight this command, copy, move back to VS Code, paste your command to the VS Code, and tell it that you have an error for that command. Let's hope that it can be able to recognize what's the type of error that's throwing and kind of whether it's able to collect it. Of course, it's possible to collect it. It's most likely you just need to install that command. Whatever online praise, maybe it's one of those net install command. So the issue, as I see, the issue command is not inbuilt Stata. It's part of an additional package. Let's fix this by replacing this command with built-in Stata commands that provide missing data analysis. Yeah, you can do that, but also maybe the easiest is to install the command really. But you can see it have used the useful commands that are in Stata and also used CAPTCHA. So likely it will not show you an error, But of course, I've said that's a problem that you may need to deal with in case it throws an error that it will not show you have a problem. You might have a problem there. So I will say, okay, you can see it's using a for each loop to loop through these variables and checking whether they are missing information in those variables, and kind of telling you how much is missing. So what I'll do is that I will Control A and Control D to set this information to Stata. Log file is already open, so what maybe I need to do is just type raw close and then go back to VS Code and set this code again to Stata. See whether it will learn, and you can see the code is learning. It's able to use look for these variables. It's able to find these variables. It's trying to do some visualization, and I'll show you some of the graph it's doing. It's going to another screen. You can see it have drafted some of the visualization that you may need to show access. It have produced a lot, almost every graph for each of the variables that you have seen here. So if you look at this type of script, but if you look at this, you can see a lot of information. And I know this is a lot of information, but the key, what I wanted to show you was that it's possible to do this very fast using Co-Pilot. Like right now, it have written you a quick script, a do file that is able to do use look for to get variables variables of interest. Then kind of get the variables that are of interest, and then go to implementation for some basic analysis on this, some descriptive analysis. You can go ahead and tell it implement phase 3 and phase 4, and it will do a quick script for that. The key thing here is that you need to be able to verify whatever it's doing. Secondly, you need to ensure that if for variables, is it getting the variables of interest? So you can see, like here, whatever it's trying to do is description, and it's highly likely that this capture command is kind of preventing it from throwing the error that some of these variables are not available, and hence you can see their results. You can see also there's no result for missing data, so you need to check. You just need to check what's going on there. Raster for the descriptive statistic, I have shown you some graph that it have drafted, which you can be able to check whether it's doing whatever you want it to do. So in essence, I've shown you how to set up your VS Code, integrate it with GitHub and GitHub Co-Pilot, use it to write scripts that can be sent to Stata file, Stata program, and run it. Of course, if you don't have a connection between VS Code and Stata, what you can do is to create a do file in the folder, in one of the folder, and then change your working directory to the folder that you created that VS Code have access to. You just need to go change the working directory and direct it to the folder that you have created for your data analysis. If your do file is there, your data is there, and everything is there, your do file, you'll just be copying from VS Code. This do file, you just be copying this information from here and pasting it to another do file in Stata, or opening the same do file in Stata and learning it. So I can see we only have 2 minutes, so I want to stop here, and hope that this session was helpful to you. But as a way of concluding, I want to just mention a few things. So I'll share these slides with you. You can try the next of the steps if you want to. But essentially, the basics of how to do data analysis using VS Code and Copilot is what I have shown. Set up your environment, give it a command, the goal of whatever you want to do. Let's generate the code, check the code, whether it is doing whatever it's supposed to be doing, correct it, and you are done. And something I did not mention in VS Code is that if you don't know what this command is doing, which I hope you do, in fact, you should be able to know the code it's writing. You can always highlight it, then click and go to Copilot and tell it to explain it. If I click explain here, it says that it have one reference here. It will go through this code explaining to you what is that piece of code is doing, and to provide you very, very detailed information on the area that on the on that piece of code. You can, of course, you can also highlight it and tell Claude you want to edit it. Maybe you don't want to use the for each loop, you want to use another loop or whatever. You can tell it to review and comment on the piece of code and all that. All these are the things. I think I mentioned editing your file. This is what I meant with edit. You can edit inline. You can just tell it to edit. You can see here it told me ask or edit in context. So I can type anything I want here. Edit blah blah blah, and it will start editing that piece of code. You just need to give it the instruction. Okay. Before we are running out of time, in terms of conclusion, what you have done today is kind of discuss AI coding agents, provide examples and how they are used. Show how AI coding agent can save you time and money. Show you how to plan a data analysis using an agent. And lastly, show you how this tool can complement your technical skill. So if you are good in Stata, you just need to go and kind of use this agent to make your work a bit easier. I want to stop there and ask if, in case there is any question, we can conclude in the next 5 minutes.